Mary, Janelle, and Christine have talked me from the beginning of all of our marriages.
It all began with a single decision that would haunt Kody Brown for the rest of his life. While the cameras painted a picture of unity and fans believed the family bond was unbreakable, behind the scenes, a storm was already brewing. Christine Brown, desperate and exhausted, was pleading with her husband to help their daughter Ysabel. She wasn't asking for luxury. She wasn't asking for fame. She was asking for something every father should fight for: life-saving surgery, to end her daughter's unbearable suffering. Ysabel's scoliosis had twisted her spine so severely that her chance at a normal life was slipping away. Doctors insisted the surgery was urgent, and though the price tag was high, what was money compared to a child's future? For Christine, the answer was obvious, but then came Kody's response: cold, unthinkable, and devastating. He said no. Christine was stunned. The man who boasted about being the head of the household, the protector, the provider, was suddenly more concerned about his bank account than the pain carved across his daughter's face. What stung worse was the whisper that turned into a roar: Kody had the money. Nearly $8 million was sitting untouched, not earmarked for medical care, not reserved for his children's future, but locked away for his own secret plans. While Ysabel cried quietly in agony, Kody was dreaming of something entirely different. Fans who later watched the episode saw Christine fighting back tears, her fists clenched in silent rage, while Ysabel forced a brave smile through the pain. To the cameras, it was a family under pressure. But behind closed doors, it was the beginning of the collapse. Christine's trust shattered in that moment. The denial wasn't just cruel. It was a betrayal that pushed her toward a path she never thought she'd take. Because that one refusal would soon become evidence in a courtroom where charm, excuses, and TV fame meant nothing. Only truth mattered. And when the truth of Kody's $8 million came out, the world finally saw why Christine walked away, why Ysabel felt abandoned, and why a judge's words would soon cut Kody deeper than anything he could spin. The cracks that had been forming in their so-called perfect family split wide open. Christine transformed that heartbreak into determination. She packed the car herself, driving Ysabel across the country to get the surgery Kody had refused to support. It was a journey that should have been shared by both parents, but instead it was Christine alone, sitting by her daughter's side as surgeons repaired the spine that had been crushing her for years. But while Christine prayed in hospital corridors, Kody stayed home. His excuse? Traveling was too risky. The truth? His absence screamed louder than any words ever could. Ysabel would never forget waking in pain and realizing her father hadn't even shown up. For her, it wasn't just neglect. It was abandonment. At home, the tension spread like wildfire. Janelle's kids whispered about unfairness. Even Mary, usually silent, admitted privately that something inside Kody had changed. And then there was Robin, sitting comfortably in a brand new home while Christine and her children struggled. Every dollar Kody funneled into that house, every decision that prioritized Robin over the rest, drove the knife deeper. Christine's patience finally broke. She once believed in sacrifice for plural marriage, but now she saw only her daughter's tears and her husband's betrayal. Social media erupted, fans demanding answers. How could a father deny his daughter the surgery she desperately needed, while spending fortunes elsewhere? This wasn't just family drama. It became a national conversation about parental responsibility, financial priorities, and favoritism that had turned toxic. And then the whispers about the money grew louder. If not on surgery, if not on his children's future, then where had the $8 million gone? Christine followed the trail, and what she discovered confirmed her worst fears. The money had gone to Coyote Pass, the Arizona property Kody had obsessed over for years. He sold it as the family's dream, a place for unity, 4 houses, and a new beginning. But reality was far uglier. The land was draining their resources, swallowing hundreds of thousands in taxes, permits, and legal fees, while Kody's vision never materialized. The bombshell hit when documents showed nearly $1 million had gone directly toward Robin's massive house. While Christine was scraping together medical bills, while Janelle was struggling to make ends meet, Kody was pouring their future into Robin's comfort. It wasn't just favoritism anymore, it was betrayal. Christine's heartbreak turned to fury. She realized her daughter's pain had been weighed against real estate, and real estate had won. For Ysabel, the revelation was devastating. She had grown up believing her father would always protect her, but now the truth was in black and white. He had chosen vanity projects and Robin's luxury over her well-being. Piece by piece, Kody's image collapsed. This wasn't a father making hard choices. This was financial negligence, if not worse. Christine knew the law couldn't ignore it. What had once been whispers of pain was now evidence of betrayal, and soon Christine's heartbreak walked straight into a courtroom. The trial began not with cameras, but with silence so heavy the tension could be felt in the air. Christine's attorneys laid out the receipts, bank statements, property records, and every ugly detail. Photos of Ysabel before and after surgery flashed across the courtroom, each more gut-wrenching than the last. Christine's voice cracked as she described her daughter's suffering, and the room sat frozen in grief and fury. Kody tried to defend himself. He claimed he was protecting the family's finances, claimed the pandemic kept him from traveling, claimed he loved his daughter. But the paper trail told a different story. Every transaction screamed favoritism. Millions tied up in Coyote Pass, payments for Robin's mansion, nothing for Ysabel. Witnesses stepped forward. Janelle's kids describing neglect, extended family recalling Christine's pleas for help. One by one, Kody's carefully crafted mask of the devoted father was ripped away. Then came the cutting question. Mr. Brown, if it had been Robin's child, would you have found the money? The room froze. Kody's face tightened. His silence answered louder than words ever could. The evidence was crushing, the testimonies damning. For the first time, Kody wasn't in control. He couldn't charm the cameras. He couldn't spin excuses. Here, only facts mattered. When the judge finally spoke, the air shifted. They didn't hide behind legal jargon. They spoke with fire. A father's duty is to protect his children. You had the means. You had the chance. And you chose to walk away. The words sliced through the courtroom. Kody tried to shift, but the judge pressed on, condemning his choices as self-serving and negligent. Line by line, his failures were laid bare. Then came the blow that left everyone speechless. You did not simply fail to provide, Mr. Brown. You abandoned your child in her time of greatest need. That is betrayal. Christine's tears spilled. Ysabel, seated quietly in the back, finally heard the truth spoken aloud. The ruling was swift and merciless. Kody was ordered to cover every cost: surgery, travel, and Christine's debt. The division of assets favored Christine heavily, a punishment Kody never saw coming. It wasn't just financial restitution. It was justice. The verdict reverberated far beyond the courtroom. Fans exploded online, praising Christine's courage and demanding accountability. Kody sat stunned, the empire of control he had built crumbling in front of him. For Christine, it wasn't just legal victory, it was liberation. For Ysabel, it was validation. She was no longer the girl whose pain was dismissed. The world finally knew the truth. Kody Brown had chosen land and Robin over his own daughter. And in the end, he paid the ultimate price. Not just in money, but in reputation, legacy, and the eyes of every fan who once believed his lies. The ruling didn't just strip Kody Brown of money, it ripped away the very foundation of the empire he had spent years trying to build. Restitution payments, asset divisions, and the judge's searing condemnation left him financially battered. His grand dream of Coyote Pass, once sold as the ultimate family vision, now looked less like a legacy and more like a graveyard of millions wasted on pride. But the damage wasn't just financial, it was personal. And at the center of that storm stood Robin. For years, she had been viewed as Kody's untouchable favorite, the wife with the mansion, the privileges, and the spotlight. Now every benefit she enjoyed became a curse. Every dollar tied to her home was painted as blood money, the price of another child's suffering. Public outrage branded her as the silent accomplice to Kody's downfall, and even within the family, the resentment spread like wildfire. To the children of Christine, Janelle, and Mary, she wasn't just another mother figure anymore. She was the symbol of everything their father had chosen over them. For the other wives, even those who had long since walked away, the verdict brought an unexpected kind of closure. Janelle finally admitted to her kids that she could no longer excuse Kody's selfishness. Mary, often silenced in the shadows, felt a quiet vindication. Christine's fight had confirmed what she had silently endured for years. Piece by piece, Kody's carefully built image of the strong family patriarch collapsed, until nothing remained but the truth. The story of Ysabel's denied surgery was no longer about medical bills, or land, or even one explosive court case. It was about choices. Kody had made his choice, and that choice revealed exactly who he was. The judge's cutting words would forever echo, not just in legal records, but in the hearts of those who watched the saga unfold. A father who chooses property and pride over his child's pain may keep his land, but he will lose everything that truly matters. And that, more than any gavel strike, was the harshest sentence Kody Brown would ever endure. But the fallout didn't stop there. What began as whispers behind closed doors had turned into a storm too big to contain. TLC's cameras may have caught the tension, but reality TV couldn't have scripted this level of scandal. Christine's courtroom victory didn't just liberate her, it exposed Kody in a way that no editing room could fix. Fans across the world revisited old episodes, suddenly noticing what had once been ignored. They replayed the moment Christine begged for Ysabel's surgery, overlaying it with captions like, "This is where America lost respect for Kody Brown." They compared Robin's brand new mansion with Ysabel's tears. They cut clips of Kody, dismissing his daughter's suffering, posting them on TikTok with words like heartless and fraud. Social media exploded. Hashtags like Tangier Justice for Ysabel and Tangier Kody Exposed trended across platforms. What had once been family drama confined to sister wives now became a national scandal. Kody Brown was no longer just a controversial polygamist. He was a father branded as negligent, selfish, and cruel. Fans who had once defended him now turned on him with venom. YouTube channels, podcasts, and gossip blogs dissected every courtroom detail, every judge's word, every financial document Christine brought forward. Even mainstream media picked it up, framing it not just as reality TV drama, but as a cultural conversation about parenting, favoritism, and financial betrayal. Inside the Brown family, the fractures were permanent. Janelle's loyalty dissolved completely. She confessed to her kids she wished she had fought back sooner. Mary, usually silent, admitted that the neglect she endured was finally undeniable. And Robin, her silence was deafening. Once shielded by Kody's favoritism, she was now the face of everything toxic in the family. Even her children felt the weight of being seen as the chosen ones while the others suffered. For Christine, the ruling was more than a win, it was freedom. Years of being dismissed, silenced, and ignored had ended with validation in the strongest way possible. She was no longer the wife who left. She was the mother who fought, the woman who stood tall, and the one who refused to be erased. Ysabel, too, carried scars, but this time they were marks of survival. The surgery had healed her body, but the verdict healed her soul. She was no longer the girl whose pain was dismissed. She was the girl whose truth toppled the illusion of the Brown Empire. Meanwhile, Kody was left with nothing but ruin. Financially, the restitution cut deep. His so-called family empire of Coyote Pass now stood as a monument to arrogance and failure. His reputation, already fragile, crumbled into dust. Former fans who once admired his big family vision now saw him as a fraud, a man who preached loyalty and unity while abandoning his own child. Outside the courtroom, the scandal metastasized. Headlines screamed, "Judge destroys Kody Brown in $1.08M scandal and sister wives star exposed for neglect." Talk shows weighed in. Celebrities shook their heads in disbelief, and experts called it a chilling example of how fame warps priorities. TLC executives scrambled behind the scenes, terrified and opportunistic all at once. Advertisers panicked, some pulling out, while producers re-edited episodes to highlight Christine as the true matriarch. For the first time in over a decade, Kody wasn't the star of Sister Wives, Christine was. And as Christine and Ysabel walked out of those courtroom doors, heads held high, the verdict rang louder than any scripted drama could. Kody may have clung to his land, his pride, and Robin at his side. But he had lost the respect of his wives, the trust of his children, and the faith of an entire audience. And that, more than any restitution, was the punishment he could never escape. Network conversations split instantly. Some executives insisted the scandal was too toxic to survive, and that the safest option was to shutter the series quietly before more dirt erupted. Others saw the audience's appetite sharpening and pushed to re-edit upcoming episodes around Christine, her resolve, her recovery, her unapologetic independence. For the first time since Sister Wives began, Kody wasn't the center of gravity. Christine was. Inside the Brown family, the shockwaves were brutal. Janelle's kids openly lined up behind Christine and torched Kody online. One of them posted a now-deleted story that read, "Now the whole world knows what we've lived our whole lives." Mary, long the silent loyalist, finally cracked in a private sit-down. "There were so many times I should have spoken up, but I didn't. Christine did what I never had the courage to do." Robin's response, or refusal to give one, poured gasoline on the fire. No statement, no defense, no apology. Fans read the silence as guilt, and the memes wrote themselves. Robin in a mansion juxtaposed with Ysabel in a hospital bed. The halo of favorite wife crumpled under a tidal wave of anger. But this wasn't just reputation management. The ruling had teeth. With restitution and asset redistribution in play, Kody's beloved Coyote Pass fantasy buckled. What he once sold as a legacy compound now looked like a cemetery for pride-driven millions. Christine left court not only with dignity, but with a larger share of assets. Kody was left scrambling to hold together an empire he once believed untouchable. Yet the most devastating blow wasn't financial or even public. It was internal. Ysabel, the gentle daughter who only ever wanted her father to show up, finally had her pain recognized. She would carry physical scars from surgery, but now she carried something heavier and more healing: vindication. In a soft, steady post-verdict interview, she said, "I just wanted him to be there. That's all I ever wanted." Those words cut through headlines and hashtags alike. This was no longer just a scandal. It was a daughter's grief and a father's failure, laid bare. For Christine, the season marked a metamorphosis, victim to victor. She was no longer the wife who left. She was the mother who fought, the woman who exposed the truth, the figure who finally forced accountability. In the eyes of millions, she wasn't merely a reality personality anymore. She was a symbol of strength, a reminder that walking away isn't weakness, it's power. For Kody, the verdict may have been read in court, but the real judgment unfolded online and inside his home. He had lost more than money, property, or fans. He had forfeited his children's respect. No TLC spin, no defensive monologue, no edited narrative could buy that back. The judge's language didn't stay confined to transcripts. It ricocheted across television, detonated in viral posts, and got dissected in podcasts. Every sentence was a dagger, and each landed squarely in the brittle ties that once held the Browns together. Humiliated, Kody marched out of court muttering about being misunderstood, about Christine twisting narratives, about a bench swayed by emotion. The more he spoke, the worse it got. Every denial became a clip. Every excuse became a punchline. Every blame shift became another round of public flogging. The world wasn't listening to Kody anymore. The world was watching Christine. Inside, the family battle lines hardened. Janelle, once cautious to a fault, stood solidly beside Christine. She told friends and producers, "This is the justice we've been waiting for." Her kids cheered Christine and dragged Kody without hesitation. One son went live on TikTok. "He's been neglecting us for years. This isn't new. Now the whole world finally sees it." Millions watched within hours. Mary, complicated, conflicted, tried to keep her public mask neutral while cracking in private. Years of swallowed bitterness and performative loyalty finally looked like complicity in the cold light of the verdict. She told a producer, voice shaking, "I should have done something. I should have said something. Maybe I was too scared. Now it's too late." Robin, the insulated favorite, became the lightning rod. She felt the stares at the store, the whispers at the gas pump, the side-eyed looks at church. Online, the Memes were relentless, her lavish house side by side with Ysabel's IV. Hashtags framed her as the silent accomplice. She issued no statement. The silence thundered. The rupture didn't stop with the wives. It sliced straight through the children. Older kids who once protected the family's image finally spoke. Logan told a reporter, quietly, "Our family isn't what you think. We were trained to present one picture. Behind the scenes, it was different." Aspen stood like a shield beside her mother and sister, saying Christine had always been the glue. Without her, we would have fallen apart years ago. The clip went instantly viral. Younger kids were torn, still clinging to the dad they loved while the internet painted him as a villain. For them, it wasn't content. It was home, breaking in real time. Christine, meanwhile, glowed under the harshest lights. Labels once used to minimize her, emotional, difficult, melted off. She became the warrior, the truth teller, the mother who refused to let her child suffer in silence. Morning shows booked her back to back. She didn't sound bitter. She sounded free. Asked why she fought so hard, she said, "Because Ysabel deserved better. Every child deserves better." That line turned into a global soundbite. In TLC's halls, alarms rang. Some argued to pull the plug before advertisers bolted. Others showed the numbers. Ratings spiked every time Christine spoke. Anytime Kody defended himself, the clips went viral for the wrong reasons. The penny dropped. The show wasn't about sister wives anymore. It was about a war, a father clinging to control and a mother who finally broke free. Whispered plans for a Christine-centered spin-off began. Janelle signaled she'd join. Mary stayed silent, stuck between fear and freedom. Robin kept to the mansion while her image cratered in public view. For Kody, this wasn't a mere legal loss. It was the death of his authority. For years, he cast himself as the leader with final say. Now the wives didn't listen, the children didn't respect him, and the audience didn't believe him. The family wasn't just divided, it was at war. Christine stood with a tidal wave of public support and the moral high ground. Kody clutched the splinters of a collapsing throne. The courtroom battle had ended, but the civil war had only begun. And this war wasn't about land, contracts, or even television. It was about truth, love, betrayal, and a mother's triumph. Then came the harshest court of all, public opinion. Headlines were merciless. Father chooses land over daughter. Judge slams Kody Brown. The scandal that broke sister wives. Every outlet had its spin. All agreed on one point. He failed his child. The internet showed no mercy. Memes spread like wildfire, Ysabel's hospital photo next to a sweeping shot of Coyote Pass. One was worth fighting for. The other wasn't. Robin's mansion under captions about $1, 8 men well spent. Hashtags dominated, justice for Ysabel, Coyote Pass fraud, Christine won. Within hours, the Browns weren't television drama. They were a national cautionary tale. Christine soared. Her phone lit up with interviews, support, offers she never imagined. Fans called her the true matriarch, the mother who put love above everything. In her first national interview, she looked calm, not rattled. "I didn't want to fight," she said. "I wanted peace. But when your child is in pain, you don't hesitate. You fight." The clip went global. Parents everywhere nodded along. Kody unraveled. He uploaded a shaky YouTube statement about finances, pandemic logistics, long-term plans. Every word rang hollow. Comments flooded in. Excuses. "Your child needed you. You'll never live this down." The dislike bar became its own story. The internet wasn't listening. It was sentencing. Robin tried to hide, but paparazzi camped outside. Sunglasses, tight lips, tension thick enough to choke on. In private, she admitted feeling like a prisoner of Kody's decisions, but when asked if she regretted the mansion money, she shut down. Silence shouted louder than any confession. Janelle grew bolder by the day. She posted a photo of Ysabel smiling post-surgery. "This girl is my hero. She fought pain, neglect, and doubt, and she won." The post exploded, sealing Janelle and Christine as the saga's twin heroines. Fans begged them to launch their own show and leave Kody's chaos behind. TLC couldn't ignore the numbers. Sister wives had never rated higher. Clips pulled millions. But the old formula was dead. The glossy fantasy of a happy, functional plural marriage had shattered. Viewers didn't want harmony. They wanted reality, raw, unfiltered, unspun. And Christine was its center. The sharpest judgment, though, wasn't